Here's 3 things you need to know about this video. Number 1, 2 years ago, Kyle Carnohan was a broke firefighter trying to make ends meet. 2 years later, he has a multi-million-dollar business with a raving fan base with customers that love him that are getting life-changing results. Number 2, I met Kyle when he joined the Capitalism Incubator, and now I've hired him as my coach. Sometimes the student becomes the teacher. Number 3, regardless of where you're at, if you want change, it starts with you. And changing you does not necessarily mean working on the business 18 hours a day. It means changing the habits and the thoughts that you're practicing on a daily basis. And this is the interview that is going to tell you exactly which ones to focus on that will give you a shift in your life. All right, let's go hang out with Kyle.
Good morning, Coach Kyle. What's going on, my man?
Well, we're here. The culmination of these years.
Look at us. Who would have thought, Kyle?
Well, we kind of knew. Like, I think I knew, actually.
Did you?
You weren't quite sure, but I knew something big was brewing.
I wasn't sure. Because, I mean, I've told you this. My first memory of you was saying, holy shit, man, I'm falling in love with my person. It's like I was thinking about what to sell them, and now I'm like falling in love with my person. That's the first thing I remember from you. But then after that, I remember this one moment where I was like, oh, he gets it. That makes me really happy. But then there was this moment where I asked everyone in the incubator what they wanted to sell their company for. And I just remember you putting in $100 million and me being like, all right, cool. Like, I think he really believes that. So this will be really interesting to see how it plays out. Do you remember that, by the way?
I think I do. I do remember that. And I remember having this voice in my head that was like a million. And I remember my voice saying, fuck you. Not even close. Not even close. Bigger. And I thought 10, and it was like bigger. And I was like, 100? And it's like getting started. Like, where did this come from? Because I didn't always have that thought process, It was something that started when I was in my late 30s. I was always there.
So I actually want to talk about that because how old are you? 44?
42.
You're 42. Okay. So you didn't get started as an entrepreneur or even really think about being an entrepreneur until your late 30s.
Yeah. Like,
right.
I think you and I first met, I think when I was like maybe the end of my 38th year.
Yeah, that sounds right. And you were not, I mean, were you a book reader, a podcast listener, or was it like a new inspiration that happened? And I'm asking because what I want to highlight here, Kyle, is when you were really lined up with what you wanted, things happen fast, right? And they're happening fast. I heard a rumor that you're moving into a mansion. I heard just a rumor, but I heard a rumor.
Yeah, I might be right now in Rancho Santa Fe in a 10,000 square foot.
10,000 square feet.
Yeah. It's the most beautiful, amazing thing. I wake up every morning, I go walk outside, and I just cry in gratitude in the dark.
And for context, you quit your 9-to-5 job, your 40-hour-a-week job, less than 2 months ago.
Yeah, at your event.
Yeah. So I bring all this up to say you're an example of somebody who, when things line up, they can happen really fast. So that's why I ask, like, you were not an entrepreneur at all until your late 30s. So where was the shift, and where did you start getting some traction?
So, like, I am obsessed with things. Like, when I get obsessed with something, I'm all in. And I've always been that way. Skateboarding, Aikido, jiu-jitsu, lifting weights, nutrition, firefighting. I would go pay for myself to go to all kinds of trainings and stuff. And people get mad because they're like, the department didn't pay for that. Like you're making us look bad, And I was like, I just want to learn. I had just this library of books I bought about like truck work and how to cut the roof more efficiently during a fire, like just obsessed. So I
obsessed with getting better.
just getting
It's kind of
better.
what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of that was like, I've always wanted to be a better father and be a better friend and a better person and better at communicating and better at emotional control and then better at control over myself. So this bled into this like idea of like being a disciplined man. About like 12 years ago, I started to really delve into this like self-mastery. And then just slowly started turning that volume up on that to see, one, how far I could go, and two, is it worth living a life like this? Like,
That's a
real question.
That's a really interesting question.
That's the question of all questions, because it's like, you don't know until you've already crossed the line to see. And in order to see requires sacrifice and pain that you're afraid of. And so, and you have to hold the line for a while before you're actually going to get an answer whether it's worth it or not. You can't just dabble.
By hold the line, you mean consistently chop the wood before you see any momentum or progress. That's what you mean?
So much. And like, I mean,
So you got to
principle. That principle is like business, body, family, relationships, like nutrition, like everything is that, you know, it's like, and so as I started to understand that, I started to experiment. Like, well, what if I took this away from me? What if I got up at this time every day? What if every time, what if every night, I called 5 old friends, and then, so I would just create these non-negotiables and then just stuck to them just to see what happened. And I started to realize like, holy shit, I'm in complete control of my life. And so, yes. So leading up to that question of what do you want to sell your business for? I was like, I'm capable of anything that I'm willing to sacrifice for. And I'm ultimately willing to do whatever it takes to get what I want. And I had built myself into that person that could say, I'll do it. I already know. I am dependable at that level to myself to say, if I want something and you give me a plan, I will follow through. Period.
Yeah. So that is the thing that I have learned from you, because I am now a student of yours. Kyle and I met because he came through the incubator. I am now a student of Kyle's in his Superhuman Fathers program. And that is something that I've learned from you, which is the work at first is just proving that you're a reliable person. Like, are you
the only
a person
thing
of your word? Are you a person of integrity? And then you can be entrusted with more.
Yeah. And it doesn't even matter what it is. That's the best part, because we're always like, well, but that technically doesn't work for me. And, you know, I always do it this way, or no, I looked at the science on that and that doesn't add up. You know, we always want to do that, but it's like, no, this is just for discipline's sake only. It's like cold showers. It's like, why would you do that? That's very uncomfortable. It seems stupid to me.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, it's actually one of the most life-changing things you can do. And you're like, that doesn't make sense. And I'm like, I know, because you haven't done it yet. But if you did it straight for a month, your entire life would change. And you're like,
which
I don't want to do that.
To think about. I am obsessed with my new obsession right now is cold plunges, and I mean real cold plunges, like ice in the bathtub kind of cold plunge.
Yeah.
And somebody asked me why I like it. And I'm like, I like it because it's hard.
Yeah.
I like it because it's hard, and I'm learning that I can do it anyway.
Yeah.
And this is straight your influence, right? Where it's like, where I kind of built my life to be easy, to be soft, to be able to do what I want, for me to have freedom. And I really like getting into the cold tub and being like, oh man, this still hurts. It's just 2 minutes and I can get through it, or it's just 4 minutes or whatever. And I don't like it, but I'm really happy when I do it, because it proves to myself that I can do what I say I'm going to do. And that is kind of the principle that I've learned from you, of you do hard things in order to not earn your keep, but to prove that you are capable of being reliable. So Kyle, as we're talking about becoming a disciplined person, like a reliable person, I don't know that people make the connection between eating what you say you're going to eat, or getting up at the time you say you're going to get up, carries over into you saying, I'm going to write that ad, and then writing the ad, or I'm going to put that product up for sale, and you put the product up for sale. It's like if you procrastinate on your body and on your mind and on your fitness, you're probably also procrastinating on your business. And I know that this was true for me. And I think one of the first realizations I had when I started working with you was I realized that in my natural state, I print money. I create the best content in the world. People want to work with me. And the real work is me giving as little room for the anti-me, for the person, that the false self, to get out. Like, give them as little breathing room as possible so that the real me continues to print money and be reliable and to do all the things that I like to be. So would you comment a little bit about that, about how discipline in one area carries over to another?
Yeah, it's the same muscle. And as you talk about the cold plunge, it's like my morning cold shower is my baptism of commitment for the day. And there's that moment of negotiation in everything where you're like, should I don't know, maybe, I mean, I am tired. I have done a lot. I mean, you know, I am under a lot of stress right now, so probably not the best time. Then we have that vacation coming up, and it's constantly just chatter in your head. And if you just go, shut up, you just tell it to shut up. And you're like, is there really any reason not to do this right now? No. Like, unless it's a hard no, then it's a go, period. Like, if I have an inclination, a thought, or an idea, hey, stop smoking. Well, I mean, I would, but you know, I think right now is probably not the best time. I think I'll just maybe cut it down a few. No. The thought was stop smoking. And if you just were to stop, your life would completely change. That concept can work in any moment, in any way of your life, in any pillar of your life, family, fitness, business, spiritual connection, like all of it. You'll get an inclination and you'll either negotiate or you'll act. When you shorten the time to thought and action, that's when your life will explode. And you just don't negotiate anymore. You just do.
What does that look like in a business context? Because like Superhuman Fathers hits a 7-figure run rate earlier this year, maybe late last year. You'll have to remind me. But you just move fast and break things, right? And sometimes I'm like, wow, you're moving. Like, I don't know that I would do that. And you're like, I don't care. Still, I'm just moving. You're just moving. I'm going to a 10,000 square foot house, for goodness sake. So tell me about that. Tell me about that idea of shortening the thought and action.
Yeah. So like the house is, hey, you have a lot of people that want to do events, and you're going to have to rent Airbnbs anyway. And also your social media presence needs to elevate because you have people watching your show, and you need to shock them. You need your people to go, how the fuck did he do that? That's impossible. I need to do the impossible so that I can show people that they can do the impossible. And if I can give them hope, then they're coming. They're coming. And so this getting into this house was all for my people. I don't need this shit. I'm a skateboarder. You give me a skateboard and some concrete, maybe a surfboard and some waves, like, I'm cool. But I get to be in this position where I have to provide this epic life for my wife and my family. And I get to provide this place that we call now our compound or our temple. Mm-hmm. Like, you come here, this is a sacred place now. Mm-hmm. Like, we will blow your minds. You come to one of our events. Like, you will not lead the same. Why? Because we believe that it's true. And if you come here with an open heart, I'm going to give you something you never had before. And why is that? Because I believe, which is the same reason I believed this would work, which is why when I get on the phone with somebody, I tell them, your life's going to change. You're going to get absolutely shredded. You're going to become the most disciplined man that you could possibly imagine. And we're going to overcome all your addictions. I just promise them that because I have so much certainty that we're going to get there that it doesn't even matter. And then they feel my certainty.
That's right.
People want leadership and certainty. So give that to your people, whatever it is you're selling. Just give them your certainty, and you're giving them the greatest gift. You're giving them what they're looking for.
That's leadership. I mean, that's leadership where people can borrow your certainty until
Yeah.
they believe it for themselves.
That's it.
Brooke Castillo and I did a podcast together where we were talking about how we say that action is the evidence of the belief, that your actions are in reflection of what you actually believe. And so the question is often, well, how do you believe something when you don't believe it? Like, how do I get myself to believe something that I don't believe so that I take the actions required that amplify that belief? And you've been a really good example of, you just borrow it from somebody else.
Yep.
You get somebody else who believes in you so much
Yes.
that you feel stupid for going against their belief. And so, you know, I have a religious background. I went to school thinking I was going to be a pastor. I'm not. But I always kind of wrestled with this idea of, Jesus says in Matthew that when 2 or 3 are gathered, there I am with you always. There I am with you. So what I have interpreted that in my, you know, post-Christian life is, when 2 or 3 people believe with conviction, that is, you know, that is God force. That is the ability to create. Like, if you and I have absolute conviction over this project working out, or this house being what sets your social media on blaze, if we share a belief and we're strong enough in that conviction to convince your brother Ryan or one other person, and there's 3, that just like builds. It's like a fire that just starts to burn across until everybody believes it, and then it becomes real. Then it just, here you go, Mr. Carnohan. Here's your house.
And everyone is willing to burn down together. And this is the answer to this question of, like, how do you believe before you believe? You think of the worst case scenario, then you put it on the altar and you accept it. You realize that the only way to move forward in life and actually live is to take risk. And if the risk doesn't pan out the way you want, you won anyway, because you weren't a pussy.
To say that differently, you won because you changed. You won because you took a chance on yourself. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I self-validate. I don't need validation from the world anymore. Like, I need to have character and integrity, and that's it, period. And so if I'm called to move, wherever that calling comes from, your conscience, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, if I'm called to move and I don't, I'm stuck. If I'm called to move and I move, and that moves me into living on the streets with my family for a couple months while I gather and rise again, I don't care. I'm not afraid of that. And that's why am willing to take all the risk. Like I don't, this is huge. I was paying $3,500 a month in rent. This is costing me $25,000 a month. That's a move. I mean, we're doing $200,000 a month the last 2 months rolling, but you know, business, like, there's expenses. You never know. Like, I could sit here and be like, well, I don't know, that wouldn't be prudent. And a lot of people are like, that's not a very good idea. I mean, you're kind of new in business. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Zero. I'm not, I will risk it all to bless my people, period. And if I burn it down, guess what? I'm going to be absolutely honest about it on all my social medias with all my people. I'm going to be like, hey, we did this. It didn't work. This is crazy. Now, you know, now we got to live in this 2-bedroom apartment with 5 kids. Guess what? I'm still here, and watch me. Watch what happens. Watch the show, my friends. It's only going to get better. You know?
Where does that come from for you, Kyle? Because, like, sometimes I hear you say things like that, and I'm like I wish I had that amount of conviction about anything, like about the lunch I'm going to have. Like, I wish I just had that amount of certainty and conviction for you because there is such power in you being like, oh, I'm just going to get a $25,000 a month house. It'll pay for itself. And when I heard that story, because Ryan shared it with me, when he told me that, I felt a fire in me that I was like, oh, I get it. I get it. Like it spoke to that voice in me that was like hungry for something more. Right. And what gives you the balls to do that? Like what do you, what gives your permission to do that? Your middle finger?
Yeah, both of them. Like I want to go to war. Listen, I'm a king. A king needs a castle, right? A king needs to conquer. Let's say you're a king and you're this scared king that never goes out, never conquers, and always is pandering to the other kings so that everything's safe. No, my army is going to go out and annihilate anyone that stands in our way, and we're taking over, period. That's the kind of king I am. Now, what does that mean? You got to be a good king. I mean, you have to rule the kingdom with righteousness, right? Which is when things start to rise and you start to get what you want, it's very easy for the king to sit back in his throne and let all his people do the work now.
Yeah.
And get weak and complacent and ungrateful, which turns into now starting to treat his people bad and get, think he deserves something, like he's earned something. But if you can just stay on the front lines with your people, even amidst all this great shit that's going on here, this is all not for me. It's for my wife. It's for my people. What's for me is 2:45 wake-ups, cold showers, starvation, and hard workouts. And then blessing my people, period. That's what's for me. That's what I get.
And I think a lot of times people will hear you say that you get up at 2:45, that you barely eat, and that you work out all the time. And they think, I don't want that life, right? Like that was my first impression of you.
Yeah.
What I learned about you is that from your side, that is how you train yourself to need very little so that you can give the most. Is that a fair summary?
It's so good. And there's so many things here because like we all know that true purpose and joy and fulfillment is in the service of others. We know it, we say it, we believe it, but we don't live it. So as deep as you want to go into that concept is as much fire as you want to have in your life. Why am I so fired up and have so much conviction? Because I live that. That's why I've earned that. I live it. And so I get to live like this. So it takes some faith and it takes time and it takes turning this volume up slowly and trusting that it's worth it. You know, that was how we started the conversation is like, is it worth it? And every little step of the way you find as you push forward more and more and more and go deeper, that it's always worth it. Always. The sacrifice for others is always worth it and it always pays back 100-fold. And really the main thing I get back from that is my ability to just tap into just full alignment and guidance and purpose and this like feeling like your feet don't touch the ground, your hair standing up, tears just on the verge all the time, sitting in this place of just immense gratitude and connection to other people and to God and the universe. Like, that's what I want. There's nothing compared to that. So anything else that gets in the way of that, delete. Here's the other thing, the concept of the cold shower. When I get into a cold shower, when I get out, I'm warm. Same ambient temperature. When I get into a warm shower and I get out, I'm freezing and I'm uncomfortable. So that concept in your life is the same. If you seek comfort, you will always be uncomfortable with brief moments of comfort.
Geez, that hurt. That hurt. Yeah.
If you seek the opposite, you seek discomfort, you will be resetting your system constantly so that ambient temperature is such a grateful and happy and comfortable place. And so by me seeking this harder life, I will be more comfortable than the average person most of the time. Then when shit gets real, real chaos comes, the weak fold like a lawn chair and I'll be ready for war. I'll be covered in blood and mud on the front lines with a big fucking smile on my face. And people will be like, that guy's insane. Well, I've been preparing for this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Bring it.
And if you can do the constant seeking of discomfort, then Facebook ads are going to be no problem. You know,
Yeah, and
writing copy is really not going to be a problem. Creating that Facebook group, probably not going to stop you. You just go. You're like, oh, uncomfortable. Good.
Yep.
More.
And even better, getting on that damn phone and making some sales at night when you're tired and you're over it and you haven't made any money yet. Make money today. And if you haven't yet, guess what? You don't get to play. Make money. Do it. Oh, it was a hard day. No, you have 100 more calls to make. Someone's going to buy your shit. Find them.
This call was recorded inside of our mentoring community, which is called the 1%, which is about helping entrepreneurs build $1 million businesses. Whenever you're ready to start your road to 1 million, come join us in the 1% at capitalism.com/1.
Tell me about the early sales for you, because I actually don't know this story. Right? You and I fell out of touch for like a year, and then I start following your content as a fan, right? So tell me about the early sales and how some momentum got off the ground.
It was so in the beginning, I had like 5 really good transformations, a couple guys in my firehouse and my 2 brothers, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just put these out on my 400 followers on Instagram. And so initially you're gonna have some friends show up to the party, right? Acquaintances. And so I had like 20 guys that had been all the way back to like grade school that saw the transformations and were like, dude, let's do this, And at the time I was charging like $199 a month or some bullshit, but you got to earn your spot, So like, so I got like 20 guys on there and I fired them up, and they really glommed onto this idea of becoming disciplined, becoming this warrior monk, and this concept of like, oh my gosh, like I've been complacent for years and I haven't even known it. It snuck up on me. And when I got them fired up, they started to connect to their spirit, man. Like, and once you get that momentum, and then you're like, okay, I know. And then I warn you, the apathy's coming. Be prepared for the enemy. It's coming, and that's why you yo-yo, because this time when the apathy comes, I need you to hold the line, even if you got to grit your teeth. And so I taught these guys to do that. Well, what happened? They got the most crazy, not only physical transformations now, but family and business and spiritual, and the way they started to show up in power and the way their words, they could speak now, and the concepts that were coming in their heads. I go, oh, wow, this is bigger than fitness. Much bigger than fitness. And we started to grow this idea of the disciplined life, and it started to spread, and people were telling their friends, and I was on every single sales call. We started to run some ads. They didn't really pan out, and so it just started to turn into posting on social media every day. And I started getting 2, 3, 4, 5 leads a day just from social media, and I would go on those calls, and every single day I was on at least 5 or 6 calls in the beginning, which turned into 10, 15. At one point I was doing 20 sales calls a day for an entire year while working at the firehouse 3 to 4 days a week. I didn't sleep for a year.
What were the results after that year? Like for a year, you're just grinding. Yeah. Where are you at after a year?
The results were crazy. So like the first month I think was like 4,000, and I was like, oh my God, I don't have to work overtime anymore. Like I was crying. I was like, wait, we made it. We made it. I could just work my job. I don't have to work overtime. I was working 4 or 5 overtimes a month to just pay the bills to live in California. And I mean, and that's so stressful, man. Just being a fireman's stressful already, and then you're like forced to stay. And then it's just and the bills that add up, and you're not in the savings. There's no savings account, dude. It's like I'm negative in my bank account at the end of every month, and I'm like, I can't work anymore. I'll never see my family, and I don't sleep already. I gotta break out of this bullshit. And I got chiefs writing me for making stupid mistakes. Some fat, undisciplined chief trying to tell me how it is, and I'm looking at him like no respect. Like, you don't live this shit. Tell me what to do. Have another man have his thumb on me. Tell me I can't go home. You have to stay another day or you're going to get written up. Fuck you. No, I'm going to create my own economy. I'm going to create my own life, and I'm out of here. And so that was the pressure I put on myself. I will escape this prison. Now, don't get me wrong. I love that job. I love it. But I do not like being controlled. I do not like having my freedom taken away from me and feel like a slave. And that's what I felt like. And so I went to war. I went to war and I said, I won't sleep. I won't eat. I will do whatever it takes to bring in as many people as possible to this thing. And I put the work in. And that work laid the foundation. And by the end of the year.
And I just want to highlight here, you have 4 kids?
5.
5 kids, full-time job, wife, in shape. So you're working overtime. So all of y'all have no excuses. Like, we love to give airtime to our bullshit excuses.
Yep.
We love to. And you have 5 children, a full-time job. You feel like you're just making ends meet, basically, because you live in California, right? You take your salary and you live in Missouri, maybe you're doing great. But in California, you're not doing so great, right? So you're working overtime just to make ends meet. And then you start this business. And you're working nights for a year in the grind in order to get what result? What's the result at the end of a year?
So at the end of the year, I was doing about $40,000 a month. And I was like, I think it's time to go on a leave of absence from work. And so I put in a letter for a leave, and they gave me a 1-year leave of absence. And as soon as I left the firehouse, we hit $70,000 that month. And then I think we dropped around 50, and then it went hundo, and we haven't been less than 100 ever since. And then last month we passed the 200,000 mark. This month, I think we just crossed like 215 for this month. And with the plans and ideas and things I'm creating, 300's coming, 500,000's coming, 8 figures is coming. It's all coming. Like I see it so clearly.
Yeah. What were the major lever points that took you from 40K to 200K? Because that's a big jump, right?
Yeah.
And I know you've also like, I know that you've gone through periods where you hired a big team and then you fired a big team. Yeah, like you've gone through like the growing and pruning process several times. So
yes,
we're looking back now, what do you see as the levers that got pulled that really made the biggest difference?
If you can be a creator of leaders, then you can ultimately scale. Because like one of the hardest things to do is reproduce yourself. And that's when I think a lot of times entrepreneurs have a really hard time, because they're trying to find somebody to do the job that they do, but they're just like, there's a reason why this person did so well building this thing, because they're really good at it. And so your business will only grow as much as you're able to build leaders. And the only way you're going to build leaders is to be so undeniable yourself that people will die for you. Like, they're just like, I just want to be in your presence. Like, I don't even care if you pay me. Like, I have to be here. I have to do this with you. So when I fired all those people, I wanted to see their reactions. Who's going to fight to stay? And who's going to just say, like, I'm not going anywhere. I'll just work for free. My brother, Chris, Ox, Michael, we love you, bro. If things are rough in the business right now and you got to cut me short for a year, I'm here. I'll go get another job for a while, but I'm working full time for you. I go, you're staying. These are my people. I will never bring someone on my team who has any plans of going anywhere else ever, and who won't die for the cause. Because I'll fucking die for this right now. I'm that obsessed and that willing to do whatever it takes to grow this thing. And I want people next to me that are that powerful on my team. And when we walk in a room as a team, you will feel the air come out of the room. You'll go, who is that? That's the team that you need.
What gave you that conviction? Because from the outside, I mean, some people might say it's a new business. Where does this conviction come from on a new business? how do I get that convicted about my business? What would you say about that? What would you say to that?
You have to learn to love people, period. Like, I love people. Love them. Like, I'll die for you. Not just you, Ryan, but everyone on this call, whatever it takes, like whatever you need from me, like I'm here. Whatever time I won't sleep. You need to talk about your life. You have a gun in your mouth right now? Call me. We'll have a 3-hour conversation. I'll just skip sleep tonight. Even if you're broke. Don't care. That's why this grew. Because 90% of the time I was working for free. Never did I require anyone to pay me anything.
Man, that's big. Because at the beginning of an entrepreneurial journey, isn't that the case? You're doing this work and no one's paying you. Well, who are you doing the work for? It better be somebody you care about. This is why we say we start with the person. You better love on a person because you're not getting paid at first regardless.
Yeah.
So you better pick a person that you damn well care about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
at some point, then they pay you. And then at some point you got to be smart. And you got to realize like you have to pay yourself. And that's where I got in trouble is, the king started to get a little hungry and everybody else was eating except for me. And, cause I was all in the business, man. I didn't want any money. I just wanted to grow. But then all my employees were eating fine. And my wife's like, hey, the bank account doesn't seem to be growing like it was. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're pushing. Like, seems like you're giving them a lot of money, but we don't have any. And I'm like, no, it's cool. It's cool. And she's like, no, it's not cool. And luckily, I have great mentors. Ryan Moran, Wes Watson, Andy Elliott, Garrett White. Like, I picked the big ones. And they're not afraid to tell me how it is. Andy Elliott calls me out of the blue, out of nowhere. He goes, hey, I feel a disturbance in the force. He goes, I just watched one of your reels and you've lost power, bro. Are you domesticated? What happened to you, bro?
Wow. He said, I watched one of your Instagram reels and you look domesticated. That's a friend.
He goes, you need to get back in. He said, you need to become a savage again. What did you do? Become a business?
That's interesting. Unpack that one for us.
I love this. Because from the beginning, I was never a business. I was a savage tribe of unstoppable, just crazy men that work together to spread this message. It's a different mindset, right? Titles, all that. We didn't have any of that shit. We just helped people simplify, right? Logos, colors, business plan, all this, right? Delete all that shit. If you're starting a business, have something that you can give someone value to, give them the value, do a really good job, and then have them refer their friends. Period. And then have fun doing it. Like that's like, you don't need a logo, you don't need a website, my first 100,000 came from, hey, listen, I know you're struggling with discipline. I know it. I can see it on your faces. I figured it out. I got 5 kids. I'm a full-time fireman. I'm crushing it at business. Like, you need to do this. You can do it all. I promise you. Hit the link. No, it wasn't even a link. It was DM me now and let's get on a conversation. DM me. There were no funnels. There were no links. There were no logos. There were no colors. It was just me and my message. And then you talk to me and I change your life.
I met a girl at a party 2 days ago who profited $3 million last year. So profit $3 million take home. And she was telling me, she's like, I help people monetize their Instagram followings. I was like, oh, that's actually where you need some help with that right now. Tell me your website so I can check you out. She goes, I don't have a website. I was like, what do you mean you don't have a website? You did $3 million in profit. She's like, it's just been so nutty. We haven't even had time for a website and a logo. All our sales are done one-to-one. All our packaging fulfillment is done one-to-one. She's like, I just hired help. Somebody to help me build systems and processes so it's not so nutty. But for right now, I'm sorry, I don't have a website. Do you want to book a call? I'm like, no, I don't want to be in your funnel. I want you to tell me what your website is.
I always love that. And then like the people say like, so what do I get with this? And I'm like, what do you get with this? Like, what are you asking me right now? What do you get? We just had a 30-minute conversation of all your problems, and I told you I was going to solve them. You want more than your problem solved? I'm like, you want a T-shirt that you can buy one on the at the store on the website or whatever, And they're just like, I guess I just want results. I'm like, okay, so you're stalling. Like, all right. What do I get with this? I was like, you get an app and you get a T-shirt, and after 6 months, we send you some chapstick. It's like they don't actually care about that shit. And nobody cares about the process.
Yeah.
Zero. They don't care. No one cares. You just tell them what you're going to give them and say it with conviction, and then get a credit card.
There's a great teaching point here, which is that oftentimes if you feel insecure about your product or your program or your business, you will sell all the features and you will compare it to your competitors, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do I get? Well, you get a black one, and it works really good, and it's got great reviews, and it's cheaper than the other guy. That's what
The handle is really shiny.
Yeah. Like, let me think about it. Right. So I'm just going to pretend it's only you on this call, Kyle, because this could get me in a little bit of trouble. But the first time I ever sold a product on Amazon was a nitric oxide supplement. And I just cold called one of our customers. And I was like, I just saw you ordered 3. It's your 3rd purchase. He's like, oh, Ryan, I love your product. And I was like, tell me. And like, I'm a hard gainer, skinny dude trying to add muscle. And so I think that's my market. And he's like, Ryan, I am 54 years old and my erections are like I'm 19. And I was like, I had no idea that was like people would take it for. I had no idea. But if you take that example into like how you sell something, okay, well, what do I get with this nitric oxide booster? Well, you get 200 milligrams of beetroot powder, and you get 200 milligrams of theobromine and 100 milligrams of pine bark. And it comes in a black bottle. It'll give you rapid performance and explosive workouts. And it's $29. Like, these are all talking about product. But if somebody says, oh, what do I get? And you go, what do you get? You just told me that you haven't had sex with your wife in 6 months. Yeah. Yep. This is going to reinvigorate your marriage. Oh, and you know how you look in the mirror and you hate yourself? Yeah, this is going to change that. It's like, okay, what's the price? Yeah. There are no competitors anymore. Yeah. There's no thinking about, well, is this really worth it? Because all they're valuing is how much does it cost to make my problem go away?
Yeah, remember we had that conversation and you're like, I'm not even exactly sure what you do yet. And I'm like, I don't know either.
I was like, just send me an order link. I don't really know. I think I already joined. And I was like,
yeah, you joined. You're like, how does this work? I don't even know what it is that you do. And I'm like, I don't know either. It's crazy, huh? I have no idea how we do this, but it works. I'm like, okay, well, I guess shit, we'll just do it then. No frameworks, no curriculum, just you. And that's where people sell themselves short. It's like usually the product is themselves, and the value that they bring is immense. But we never give ourselves that credit. Because our experience is so different than anyone else's that, like, if you were to just have confidence, man, you could really bless the world with what you've gone through.
And what's funny is my brain just kicked in there, and I was like, how do you protect that confidence? And then I heard you in my brain go, your workouts, your wake up times, yes, hitting your macros. I'm like, shit, there it is again.
Yep. It's discipline. It really is, because you, at the end of the night, when you look in the mirror and you see that man in the mirror and he's just like, bro, thank you so much for what you do for me. Where you're almost in tears just looking at yourself, like just appreciating that man in the mirror so much. You will show up so different every day because you love yourself so much that your cup is overflowing to give to others. But if you're not there, you're just going to be in this scarcity place where I need my cup filled. I need my cup filled. The only one who can fill your cup is you. No one else.
Something that I've learned is in our masterminds, we would have workshops or masterminds sometimes at my house, and I would get up and teach something for like 6 hours, right? And it would be, a master class on everything I'd learned on blank. But 80% of the value came when I stopped, changed my clothes, we went to dinner, and I was like, what are you working on? Have you thought about doing it like this, this, and this? And I was just unabashedly myself in those moments, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And the funny thing is that I thought I had to justify all the value with the 6 hours of content.
Yeah.
But it's like the one word that you say when you're confident or you're convicted that changes someone's life.
Yeah.
And so like that's why now I just say our masterminds are fun. They were to plan a bunch of fun things because I'm actually creating the container for me to show up at my fullest. That's actually like the strategy is, okay, let's plan masterminds around what is freaking fun so that I'm at my fullest. I'm my most confident.
Yeah.
And then when I look at you and I'm like, oh, you're struggling with this? And it's fixed.
Yep. And you're good at it. So it's like I want people to understand, like, people are just blessed to be in your presence. That's it. Like, I'm trying to, like, my wife over the years, I've been like, raise your prices. You need to raise your prices. And she's like, I know, but I'm not doing this for them. Like, it's you. Like, just the fact that you're taking time away from your family to give them your focus and your energy is priceless.
Yeah.
You can't charge enough. You cannot charge enough for what you offer these people. And she's really starting to understand that now. It's like, we get to set our own prices based upon what we believe. Like, I just raised my one-on-one price to $100,000 a year.
Good for you.
And people will pay it. And I just created a council. It's $32,000 a year. And I just got 3 people just signed up for that. We will have 12. Eventually I'll have 5 groups of 12 of that council. And then we'll have the brotherhood itself, which is $6,000 for a year. And then I'll have a low end that's a course. It's probably $199 a month. That'll help elevate people into those other pieces. But everyone will come into the council eventually, because otherwise, like, that's the point. We want them to make money. We want them to get when they get disciplined, you're going to make money. You're going to have the body. You're going to have the family. And you're going to have this desire to constantly progress and be better. Who to better teach you than the most disciplined, who's living it the most, which will be me. There will be no one that out-disciplines me, period. It won't happen. And so I will be the place to go if you want discipline on earth.
Tell me, before we go to Q&A, tell us about your relationship with Wes Watson, because I know that was really instrumental.
Yeah.
Something seemed to really click for you when you started getting into his work. So what have you learned from him, and how has that influenced you and how you do your business?
So I was at a friend's house, and he was like, hey, Wes got out of prison. And I was like, Wes who? He's like, Wes Watson, he's out of prison. I go, Wes Watson went to prison? So we used to skate when we were kids.
Oh, so you knew him as a kid?
Yeah, like a little blonde kid.
Huh.
We used to skate together. He got really good, really fast, like really good. And then we went our separate ways. He's younger than me. He was like 3 years younger. So, when you're in 10th grade, the kid's in 7th grade, you're not really hanging out that much. You're skating. He had an older brother too. And they both skated. His older brother's still in prison. And Wes was always like a go-getter, man. He really was. And he liked trouble, man. When there was fights or whatever, or like there was some tension, he smiled. He's like, I like this. Like when he was a little kid. And anyway, so he's like, Wes is out of prison. So I start watching his stuff. And initially I saw it and I was like, what is this, professional wrestling? What is this show? You know? And then I started listening more and I was like, oh, wow. This is what this guy's tapped in. He's like tapped into something that I've been seeking for, because it's been whisperings of like this next level of no excuses and just absolute dedicated every single day without any desire or thought that there is a rest, a vacation, or a day off ever. And I understand this concept is based upon raising your baseline discipline, not climbing Mount Everest, like just getting up a little bit earlier.
And not climbing Mount Everest to do it once.
Correct.
Right. And I want to stick this in here because I used to think it's all to get the abs or the arms or like what that's the end result you're going for. Yeah. But when that's the Mount Everest, you don't actually have the discipline to keep it.
Correct.
And then your body sabotages and you lose it. Yeah. And then I only know from personal experience, that's when you start eating your feelings and buffering your mood and right. And it's like doing it for the end result it's a trap.
It is a trap. It's the best way to put it.
Right. So it's almost like if you're building a business for the exit, it's a trap. Which is why I just beat into all of your heads. It's about the person. It's about the person. Who's your person? Who are you serving? Because it's by going in on that person that you get the result. Yeah. And people think like, I'm going to do the workouts for a short enough time for me to have the abs and the result. I'm going to do the work for a short enough time for me to get the result. But it don't work like that. Nope. The results come as a byproduct of you committing to the work.
Yep. The grind, like stay in it, you know? And that was really Wes's thing, man, is just like he lived it. And he was one of the first people that I saw that just didn't miss. Ever.
Didn't miss?
Didn't miss. He just didn't miss. He showed up every day, every morning at the same time. Every day. He was at the gym every day at the same time. He made all his calls and sales all day, same time. Like his nutrition, same time. He also had the physique that he had built over the course of years, you know, and he had this aggressive attack that I desired to enhance. I wanted to go to war. I didn't want to be 5 rows back. I wanted to be on the front lines leading my people. Like that's what I wanted. And I didn't know how to get there, to get to that next level. And Wes, as soon as we spoke one time, I understood. I was like, I get it. Okay. I get it. Tell me what to do. That was it. And then since day one, I've done everything my coaches told me to do. Period. Everything. And that I met Ryan right after I started working with Wes, like 2 months. Like, what does Ryan tell me to do? I will do that. Whatever it takes. Doesn't matter how busy I am, what excuses I have, how sick I am, it will happen. That's it. Period. You know? And amidst juggling the family and the kids and the wife. And so if I'm in the middle doing something that I need to get done for my work or for one of my coaches, and my wife's like, hey, can you help me with this? Don't get me wrong. I get the little like, yeah, I can help you with it. No problem. And I'll go help her with that. And that may take away some sleep. That may inconvenience me. It's fine. I will do it all. Happily.
Comment on you doing it happily. Because my brain can quickly go to, yeah, I'll do it. Oh, there's 30 minutes of sleep. Now I'm pissed that I'm not sleeping. And like get into a negative loop.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
I've never seen you do that.
I'm angry. I'm very angry. Don't mistake this for not angry. I'm angry as fuck. It drives me. But I'm disciplined. So my darkness is controlled. Yeah. And what happens is the discipline creates the love for myself, which does what? Makes me grateful.
Yeah.
So when you have this mix of anger and gratitude, brewing inside you, watch out.
The mix of anger and gratitude.
That's what you were talking about when you hit me up and you're like, I have this righteous anger in me. What is that? I'm like, that's anger and gratitude. Congratulations, you found it. That's the sweet spot for me. Now, there's probably another level called just love that I haven't got to yet.
Yeah.
You know, like I have a lot of people that hit me up and they tell me like, it's not going to war. You don't need to be angry. I'm like, cool. I'm fucking angry. And so right now I'm going to go with this and I'm going to ride it out until maybe I find this place where I'm just calm and free love. And that's fine. I will go that way when it's time. But right now, like, how are you going to be run by love when you're in battle with a battle axe, hacking each other and there's blood and heads popping off? It's like, just love. It's like, fuck you, dude. You're not in the front lines of battle, man. You don't understand. You know?
Yeah, I've heard.
We're at war with ourselves.
And you want to go to war.
Oh, yeah. 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 I'm done not only am I done being bitched around by other men, I'm done being bitched around by myself.
It's beautiful. What's fun to think about is it's still so early.
It's day one.
Yeah, it's day one.
It is. Like now we can get started. This is how I feel. I don't feel like I made it anywhere. You know, there was a moment, and I put this on my stories the other day, where I woke up in this house. The alarm went off at 2:45, and immediately my ego was like, you did it. You made it. Sleep in, bro. You're done. You made it. Look at your house. Look at this. You did it. And I knew it was a lie. I got out of bed and I went to the cold shower. Beautiful shower, different shower than I was used to, right? And I was like, I mean, that was the most painful cold shower I've ever had because my ego the day before was like, congratulations, Kyle. Oh my God, you're so amazing. You're the best. You're the best. Just ego. And so it was flaring. And I got out of that shower and I heard it so clear. It was like, that's the king I need. Clear as day. And it was just a rush over my whole body. It was just this calm. It was like, we know what we're about. And I'll never fall for that bullshit. Never. Like, it won't get me. But that was a test. It really was.
It reminds me of what Wes Watson will say, where he's like, I don't care if I lose it all. I don't care if I am in shape or not. I care about being the person capable of having those things. Because if I lose all the money, I'll just make it right back.
Yep.
I just need.
And the rise is so fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just makes your story better. So there's no downside.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Kyle, you inspire me, my man. We'll bring the pigs out to San Diego and tour the mansion.
Let's do it.
We'll get some cold plunges in together.
Yeah.
And change some lives, my man. I love you, brother. Thank you for being
Love
here.
you too. I love you. I love this adventure, and I love how we were brought together.
What's the best place for people to look you up? Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram is the best spot. Yeah, just Superhuman Fathers. And then, if you want to apply, you can go to superhumanfathers.com and apply for the Brotherhood. But, you can just DM me too. I still kick it old school. I even put my cell phone number on everything. So, like, the world has my cell phone number. People are like, that's crazy. I'm like, I know. I'm crazy. Yes. I love it. People text me like, is this you? And I've sent them a video. I'm like, of course it's fucking me. No bots here. I'm not playing any games. It's me. What do you need?
Good, my man. Great to see you, Kyle.
If you're not fired up after that call, I don't even know. Why are you still watching the video then? It was a long ass interview. Like, what's going on with you? Seriously. And if you are fired up and you know that spending an evening, a day with Kyle and other people who are on this journey would fire you up even further and give you a leg up in your business, knowing that your mindset shifts, knowing that you have raised expectations of yourself, what does that mean over the next year, 5 years, 10 years? Does it help you make an extra $1 million, $5 million, $10 million? If you want the opportunity to hang out with Kyle and the rest of our mastermind, go over to capitalism.com/pigs. That is the mastermind group that we're in. It's the Capitalist Pigs Mastermind. I run it, Kyle's in it, and we're going to his house in San Diego this August. And our next workshop is August 7th through the 10th in San Diego, and Kyle will be there. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next episode.